Welcome to Too Late Who Gives a Shit. This is a brand new series that I stole, analyzing a trailer 1 month late that I waited over half of my life for, and then found out about in an airport, with no Wi-Fi, on my way to spend the summer in the American heartland, with even less Wi-Fi. I spend a lot of time watching reviews of games I already like, and this leaves me able to make a few observations about Hollow Knight. For one, people seem to like it. They really like it. When you pour over a couple dozen best Metroidvania lists, it's clear to see that this is the one people have liked the most since Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night. This makes it really fun to extrapolate just what it means for a new game with its own influences to be standing among the giants of the genre. No, it doesn't mean it's time to get the old games on the guillotine and rename the genre to Hollow Search or Action Knights. It just bears asking what direction the genre is being stretched in when a third Hall of Famer gets added, or even a fourth. My primary curiosity with Silksong, besides how many times I'm going to cry inside the mechanical, clockworky area, is how it's going to gel with this trio I've established. Because like it or not, it's going to gel. Team Cherry would have to seriously fuck something up, tying all of Hornet's movement to a premium currency for this to come out as anything other than the fourth great Metroidvania. It's not that there aren't other great Metroids, it's just that when every single fan seems to agree that its predecessor was the singular best take on the genre so far, barring subjective issues with its Souls-like influences, it's highly likely that we could be looking at the reputation treated as the new gold standard for Metroidvanias, even pushing the original aside for a while. You could say the original Hollow Knight has a few things going for it. For one, it's a masterpiece. Beyond that, I think it takes around 6,000 hours to explore fully without ever becoming too boring, and Team Cherry showed a particular interest in boss-oriented challenges that keep you coming back and getting good for playthrough after playthrough. Between harder Dream World variants of already difficult bosses, a tournament area full of its own personality, and the god-forsaken boss rush mode, where you throw down with the entire cast, Hollow Knight was downright fantastic at getting players hooked on its combat. But frankly, that combat was incredibly basic. Combat in Hollow Knight comes down to your directional slashes with larger charged variants, a handful of spells, a couple movement options, and then a plethora of charms to augment these things with. The more unique charms, like birthing insects or doing damage when you get hurt, fell into the slightly too niche category and left us with a game centered around Soul, managing Soul, and slashing at dudes. This was a downright fantastic baseline for combat, and make no mistake, it's fun. But there's also a hell of a lot of opportunity for growth, which leads me to my new ultimate question for Hornet. How good are you going to get? We have now come to the segment in which I analyze the trailer. I've watched this a handful of times. The first time on airport Wi-Fi, I mostly saw like blurry squiggles, but when I came home from work, I was like really shaken by this. She keeps moving in all these illegal ways. I think it's really easy to say that I think she's gotten quite good, and we're gonna have to get quite good to play her. The action in this trailer just looks remarkable, and it almost feels like not only a show-off sequence for the action, but like particularly meant to horrify people who are used to Hollow Knight's action just by doing all this weird stuff you've never been able to do that looks alien. So I'm gonna do a little thing where I like shriek a little bit every time Hornet does something terrifying and bizarre looking to me. Play trailer. Those new enemies really are cute. So yeah. So she's bouncing around. Yep. Oh my god, she like, oh my god. So pause. Already just the movement, the fluidity of bouncing off of things looks so smooth. She's like spinning over herself a little bit. Doing those wall jumps just looks so slick. It just looks so slick and so Metroid dready. It's just like very natural looking. Moving up this air shaft, she has her own thing for flowing upwards. We've seen that really lethal like pointy jab attack that she did at the beginning in the first trailer, I think, but still, moving in the air and attacking like that, we didn't do that. We didn't move attack. There weren't aerial attacks in Hollow Knight. It was just slashing. It was just your different directional slashes. You didn't have like a damaging lunge unless you're talking about like sharp shade aerial shade dash, but continuing. Yeah, she's bouncing, she's flipping, she's needling. Yeah, right there also, just the movement option, the grapple hook thing, that's gonna feel incredible. That's going to feel so different than Hollow Knight. Elevator. hunt. Oh my god! Oh my god! The like flips, the aerial attack with the flips, that's ridiculous looking. That's ridiculously acrobatic looking. Continuing. Even just, yeah, that forward jump, that like triple or second jump or whatever in the air, looked so graceful. Forward, just like a dash. She did like a forward horizontal dash where she flashed white. And now she's doing the Grim thing where she's drilling downwards, which is just so funky, but not overly different than downward nail. I mean, it is pretty different feeling. Charged attack in the air. I love that we have the actual throwing barb things. That was a cool looking aerial attack. Some kind of air dash. What was that? That was like a dash attack. She did like a dash attack at the guy. So many of her boss moves are here from Hollow Knight. Vanquish. Ah! However she got off the ground looked amazing there. Yeah, there's the boss move. Nice dash. She's just so graceful. That was like a vaguely downward oriented attack. That was like a forward stab on the ground that looked a little bit different than normal. Yeah. She's got a lot of moves and they're animated so beautifully. Like, I literally think that controlling Hornet is just going to be such a euphoric, powerful, tight, action, gamey feeling. So here's one way that Silksong could step out of Hollow Knight's shadow and get into the Hall of Fame itself. What if controlling Hornet gets compared favorably to Metroid Dread Samus? One idea that comes up over and over again when you engage with reviews of Metroid Dread is that the AAA polish is undeniable, and that due to being produced with higher expectations than most of its indie competitors, one way Dread objectively shines is the buttery smooth way Samus controls and is animated. You could argue that in terms of atmosphere, or hitting their imagined goal of creating a properly scary, or even truly horror Metroid, Dread kind of missed the mark. But one thing nobody will ever fight you on is that Samus controls like a dream, and the parkour feeling of getting around fast might be, in my opinion, the best thing Emmy sequences really add to the game. It seems clear that Dread Samus is top dog in terms of snappy and smooth action for Metroidvanias right now, but what if that crown wasn't hers for much longer? What if all the AAA polish went toe-to-toe with Team Cherry, focusing all they have on action and taking all the time in the world to make Hornet control as well as humanly possible? Because right now, when I look at Silksong trailers, that is the impression that I am getting. After simplistic movesets in the first game, I am blown away by the diversity of moves that are on display in the second trailer, and with how lovely the 2D animation is for them. She's flowing like silk and stinging like a bee. To be honest, I only compare Dread Samus and Hornet head-on for my own enjoyment. Metroid Dread and Hollow Knight are easily some of my favorite games right now, and the idea of Samus tearing through Hollow Nest at 1 million smooth moves per hour puts the Doki Dokis of God in me. It's just that delightful to think about what a Hollow Knight game would be like, moving at a slightly faster pace and with more precise action. I actually think that due to how hopelessly nostalgic we all are going to be for our entire lives regarding Hollow Knight, this gulf between Hornet and the little ghost hero could help to give both games a more distinct identity. Mark my words, there will always be people who vastly prefer the slower and more patient feeling that the original protagonist gives. And that's fantastic, power to you. I think that the difference in preference is what keeps genres interesting. And I don't want to see Miriam tearing through bloodstained castles like Bayonetta just because we can toss out the classic Castlevania action style with more slow, methodic stabbing. But when I look at Super Metroid especially, I don't necessarily think that the greatest Metroidvanias are always the greatest displays of the genre's action quality. Platforming too is a whole other discussion that I could be having just the same. But if Silksong takes the rich feeling of exploring a Team Cherry world and tears into it at Mach 10, we'll have a fantastic display of top-tier action mixing with god-tier exploration. That feeling may well become regarded as one of the very best the genre can offer. Before I wrap up, I wanted to shout out Crowsworn and the developers at Mongoose Radio. I've been keeping an eye on this game for a while in the dark days before Silksong, and have no qualms in saying that it's been the most impressive looking game to borrow Hollow Knight's feel and tread its own path that I know. If the timing were different, I'd be working my way towards a Crowsworn video right now, But unfortunately, the timing did not quite work out like that, and I just don't know how much buzz they're getting on their one-year Kickstarter trailer or their seemingly boss-oriented demo when Silksong news is right there. I actually feel a bit bad making this video in light of that because the action in that game looks straight up otherworldly good. I truly hope that after all this time they can carve out at least a little spotlight for themselves in the year before our good goddess Hornet finally comes down to bless us. But yeah, check out Crowsworn. I've got no clue how popular it'll be, but my friends and I have been waiting on the edge of our seats for it. With that said, peace. That's all I've got for you today. Get silken. It's almost song time.